It is now about 6:10 p.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2025. This is the tax classification meeting of the Prudential Committee of the Katuitt Fire District. I'm going to call the meeting to order and take roll. Mark Lynch here.
John Havel here.
Mr. Burdick will be joining us shortly, but in the meantime, the tax classification meeting is one that requires public notice, which was given by our clerk, Mr. Eager, by publication in the local newspaper. But subsequent to that, we were advised by the town, whose presence is required at the meeting, that they were not yet prepared to participate. So what we're going to do is suspend the meeting until a further date, possibly Monday, December 17th, 2025. We will decide on that, which is the next likely date for a Prudential Committee meeting. Based on that information, I vote to suspend the tax classification meeting. Mr. Knapp, I move to suspend the tax classification meeting to another date.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The tax classification meeting is suspended. A new date will be noticed. And I will look for a motion to adjourn the tax classification meeting.
I move to adjourn the tax classification meeting.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. We will begin the Prudential Committee meeting in about 2 minutes or so. Meet your expectations that we needed to do.
Suspended.
So you are not here in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think you just wanted to suspend it.
Yeah.
To the further date.
So no need to adjourn.
So we probably should not have adjourned. Again, this is Mark Lynch of the Prudential Committee. We just adjourned the tax classification meeting. Our clerk, Mr. Eager, advises that what procedurally was not the appropriate move because it is our intention to suspend the tax classification meeting. So I will look for a motion rather than adjourn. I will look for a motion to suspend the tax classification meeting.
I move to suspend the tax classification meeting.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The tax classification meeting is now suspended until a further date. Thank you. Good evening. This is Mark Lynch. It is 6:15 p.m. I am calling to order the Prudential Committee meeting. It is Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 6:15 p.m. I would ask that all who can stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, I will take the roll. Mark Lynch here.
John Havel here.
Mr. Burdick is on his way. We will note his attendance when he arrives. The next order of business, pardon me, is public comment.
Anyone else in attendance?
Yes. Also in attendance.
Joey, the clerk.
Brian Willett, Assistant Treasurer.
And is Mr. Perone attending by Zoom?
And Ray is also attending.
I'm here.
Thanks, Ray. Welcome. Our next order of business is public comment. Public comment.
Evening, Lally Lloyd, Vineyard Road and moderator of the fire district. I am checking in with the status of the two committees to which I made some appointments. It is my understanding that Commissioner Havel has convened the Policy Advisory Committee. It is also my understanding that as of this afternoon, the Bylaws Committee has not been scheduled to have a meeting. Since Mr. Burdick isn't here, I can't ask him if there's an obstacle to him doing so, but he did say, I think at your September meeting, that he would commit to having a date for that meeting by the end of October, as I recall. I might not have that timing exactly right. So I would just like to go on record that meeting has, to my understanding, has not yet been convened. And it is my request that he do so. Thank you.
Hi, Carol Zais, 86 Putnam Avenue. I'm here as a representative from the Katuitt Civic Association, and I would like to talk about the Civic Association throwing in their hand, or whatever the saying is, to initiate some community meetings, possibly surveys, and anything else that a group might come up with in order to review plans for the return to nature for the Katuitt School property. What I have in front of me is from the feasibility study, and it's the options that were put together by the Icon, Teague and Bond group. And I don't think this included much community input. And so I would like to offer the Civic Association, whose job it is to educate and communicate, to do so maybe starting as early as January, because in our budget, I believe there's $470,000 to be used for landscape allowance, site work. And there's a whole list from the Teague and Bond designs that I just think would be really good to get some community input like we've done with the Memorial Park. It came out really well. My only question is that well, two questions, is that of interest to the Prudential Board, one, and two, who could we get if necessary to present this initial drawings again? Would that be someone from the Prudential Board or Teague and Bond?
So there's going to be a status update on this tonight, which may inform that will inform this. My thought is that, and I've mentioned this I think a couple of times, is that well, the goal is to get a kind of a target to be people can throw darts at, and I am subject to these gentlemen's thoughts, contemplating some kind of presentation, Icon or whoever it may be, did a presentation on the feasibility study that went well in terms of being, I think, exhaustive. So that is the plan. That presumably would be a Prudential Committee meeting. There's public comment at the end too, and after you hear the details of where we are now, that may be helpful.
To figure out what kind of community meeting we could have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a Prudential Committee meeting though, but again, let's see where we are. My goal, oft stated, I think, is to have this completed by the spring planting season. And so I'm conscious that we continue to move this along. But let's just do the presentation and then see what you think, after the meeting.
Right. Well, regardless of whether there's a group, I do want to encourage the ability for us to bring in the Wampanoags because the land and what they know about restoring it to nature would be extremely knowledgeable and beneficial, I think, to this community since they were the first ones here. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty, go ahead, Patty.
Hi, thank you. Patty Daly. If the Prudential Committee is going to pursue an informational meeting from ICON or Tyambon, whomever, I would ask that that be a facilitated discussion, like simply being read the options by the consultant doesn't move the ball forward. I think we all saw how well the meeting about the Memorial Park went at the last Civic Association meeting, and I would strongly encourage you to have a facilitated discussion amongst the folks there participating if and when you do a presentation. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment?
I actually have a somewhat public comment slash question. This is an appropriate time. It was brought to my attention that a couple of streetlights are out, specifically on Piney and Papaneset. And I was wondering, as we are responsible for it, what is the process for addressing those streetlights?
Let's not do it in public comment.
Fair enough.
Make it an agenda item. It's not on the list, but we clearly can discuss topics
Okay,
that come up after the agenda is written. So
thank you.
don't forget.
I won't.
All right. Meeting minutes approval. Ryan has sent around the meeting minutes. I think there are 5 altogether. I have reviewed, hopefully you guys have as well. And why don't we go through these in chronological order. The first one would be the October 27th, 2025 Prudential Committee meeting. I move that we approve those meeting minutes. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next would be the October 27th, 2025 executive session meeting minutes, which I would move for approval. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just a reminder, Ryan, that those are not to be published, at least as of right now. The next one is the October 28th, 2025 Prudential Committee meeting minutes. I move that those be approved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next one is the October 28th, 2025 executive session meeting minutes. I move that those be approved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And finally, there is the November 5th, 2025 executive session meeting minutes, for which I move be approved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. They are approved.
When will they be posted?
The ones that can be posted will be posted shortly.
Tomorrow. I think executive session ones.
The what?
When do the executive session ones?
You know, I have to look that up. I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head. I think when we undertake certain actions, they become no longer confidential. We'll be getting into that in a little bit. Okay, the next item is the treasurer's report.
Thanks. Revenue as of the end of October is very strong in just about each and every area. The overall tax is at 34% when our target is 33. But the real estate collections are much stronger than that, as they're offsetting the $58,000 refund that we uh, incurred from the town. Water showing 40% is also strong, and ambulance, which is at 67%, is strong. And I would point out that in almost each and every case, the revenue is stronger than it was a year ago. Tax revenue is up almost 40%. Uh, Water is up somewhere between 25 and 30, and fire department is up about 6%. So a very strong revenue performance.
Great. I'm just curious, ambulance collection is at 80%. Did they have any reason for that? Are there just extraordinary amount of ambulance runs?
I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't hear. What was that about?
The ambulance collection at 80%.
Yes.
Is that explained simply by an extraordinary number of ambulance runs compared to last year?
Well, I think one thing is we historically set that budget low. I think probably a more reasonable comparison is up the 6% from last year. But I really don't have in hand the comparative ambulance runs. I will get that and relay that to you. But again, these are collections. The runs would generate billings, and the billings hopefully then generate collections. So this is on a collection basis. So while we might even find that the runs were down, but our collections are up. But I will get the runs and communicate that to the committee.
Thank you, Ray.
The expenditures are all either at or below budget. And articles are all in line. And this underspending and over collection has generated a surplus of funds. And while I've been rather cautious with T-bill investments because of the timing of the fire department expenditures and any possible expenditures for the demolition, I was a little bit conservative, but I think I can loosen that up and start investing in 30-day bills a little more extensively than I've done so far this year. So overall, the performance through October has generated excess surplus funds, if you will, taking into account all the, if you will, the one-time expenses that we paid out in the first 4 months of the year. Question on the performance, the budget performance. Let me turn to the funding that we anticipate. The $12.1 million bond goes on, or note goes on sale tomorrow. Should know the interest that we get by the end of the day or the first part of Wednesday, and I will communicate that to all the committee members. Hopefully, it'll be a favorable one based on the favorable rating that we got from Standards and Poor. time will tell and the market will rule, as they say. The one consequence of the timing of that in our Prudential Committee meetings is that we will have to have another Prudential Committee meeting between now and the end of November. Documents could be at the fire station for signature, but there has to be a vote accepting the ban, the note, the note sale. And that all has to be done by the end of December.
December or November?
The end of November. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Thanks. Thank you, Mark. The end of November. So I would suggest that either a Zoom or an in-person meeting be scheduled for the 24th. I believe we'll have the all the documents in hand for signatures at that point. The only other item that I have is the committee had asked me to have Lisa Haven, the former assistant treasurer's personal computer reviewed by Secure Networks, and that will take place tomorrow afternoon. That is about all I had at this point.
Ray, can you send us an email, please, explaining what needs to be accomplished between now and November 24th?
Mark, I'm not sure that I comprehend what you mean.
I'm looking for the details as to what needs to occur between now and November 24th.
The sale, the note will go on sale tomorrow. The sale will usually is consummated in a day or within the day. So we should have the interest rate, I'd say by early Wednesday, that I would communicate. So you would have the interest rate in hand. I'm assuming that the all the documents from bond counsel will be delivered to me by the end of the week. And therefore we would have those documents available for all our signatures, the Prudential, the clerk, and myself. There's no other action required by us at this point. Maybe crossing our fingers to hope we get a low rate, but most of the action is going to happen automatically with the documents being generated for the 24th meeting, or if that is acceptable to the committee.
Okay, I guess my question is, everything will have been completed by November 24th, and we will be voting on something that has already happened?
Correct. It happens tomorrow. And as I said, I will, as soon as I find out what the interest rate is, I will communicate that to all the committee and the clerk.
What
So
would we
that,
be voting?
I'm sorry?
I said, what would we be voting on?
Yeah.
I think you vote to approve the note, accepting the bid on the note.
And then we won't enter into the contract until we've all signed. Essentially, right?
Essentially, yeah, we don't get funded until all the signatures are in place with bond counsel. So we'll get, assuming if everything goes according to plan, we'll get the documents, as I said, this week. We'll sign on Monday. We will be funded on December 5th.
Because theoretically, we could refuse this
Exactly.
bid. And then if we refuse the bid, we would return it to the market. In years past, when we've done this, well, not this exact thing, but this sort of thing, We've done it this way, but we didn't get together to sign them, I remember, right? We can just sign them anywhere, not at an open meeting, but we have to vote to approve that bid.
Yeah, I mean, when you say reject what the, the bid is, you could, yeah, you could reject it, but remember the market rules. I mean, if
No,
it comes in
I
at
was just saying,
16%, yeah, maybe we want to stand back and say there's something amiss. But
right,
if it
I
comes in
just was saying.
at 6% versus 3%, I think we're stuck with what comes in.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying for the sake of the process.
Oh, okay. All right.
As Mark
Yeah.
previously said, we'd be voting on something that was essentially already done, but it wouldn't be until we all signed.
That's exactly what I was looking for,
Right.
that explanation.
Yeah,
I see
you would
that.
be signing with the knowledge of what you were signing for. Yes. We all would be.
So we could just have a brief Zoom meeting to discuss that one topic, if necessary.
All right, we will have to get together on our schedules. I'm looking at mine, and I think I may be unavailable the evening of the 24th, as in a plane. But
25th? Does it have to be the 24th?
No, it does not have to be the 24th. It has to be sometime before the end of November, so I can get the signed documents to bond counsel by December 2nd.
okay, all right.
And
Do we-
I am around, so
Yeah.
your schedule sounds like the one to work.
Or if we do have an in-person meeting, just
If you have-
briefly, if we can sign it then, and then you can get the papers back to them much more quickly, right?
We only need two commissioners, so you and John could sign and we'd be good.
If Mark is in Abu Dhabi, where you going?
I mean, Mark could give his opinion when we know what the interest rate is this week.
Yeah, when will the documents be available for signage? Because I am around all the rest of this week.
I don't know the exact date. They haven't given me that yet.
Okay, so why don't we put November 25th with a question mark? And Ray, you will let us know on.
Hopefully on Wednesday. Hopefully on Wednesday, I will let you know. They should be able to tell me when the documents are available at the same time as they give me the interest rate.
Have 48 hours notice for our meeting.
No, that's a good
Not counting weekends.
That's a good point.
So if it's noticed on Thursday, it should be fine.
Yeah. Okay, you'll let us know as soon as you find out, Ray.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about the notice. Charlie, do we have to notice with the holidays before the holiday?
What, are you talking about Thanksgiving?
The 48 hours.
Oh, 48 hours.
Yeah, so
48 business hours or just 48 calendar hours?
48 business hours, right?
Yes.
No
But
weekends,
we'd
no
have to
holidays.
do it, we have to make the notice on Wednesday.
No. It's 48 calendar hours, not counting weekends or holidays.
So it could be over, it's overnight.
So if we want it on the 25th, we could notice it on the 21st, as long as we did it in the morning. That is, did the notice in the morning. Can you just let us know tomorrow or Wednesday rather? And we will figure out a date and the notice period.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you. Anything else on the treasurer's report?
And
Okay, the next topic is the Katuitt School Building demolition and site remediation status. As an update to those in attendance, we received 5 bids in response to our request for services for an owner's property manager, which is required by Massachusetts law. We interviewed the top 3 candidates over the course of 2 days and concluded that we would go into negotiations with an OPM called Left Field. We voted to give me the authority to negotiate with Left Field, which I have done, and they submitted a draft contract, which has been reviewed by Mark Boudreau. And he had a few comments, which were all remediated with in our favor, with one typographical exception I will discuss now, but I'm going to be looking, I'm going to move that we proceed to go through with the contract in the form that I sent to you guys earlier today. The one caveat was that one of the notes related to additional insureds, and the form referred to the quote, the town needs to be an additional insured. And we changed it to the Katuitt Fire District and Prudential Committee. Unfortunately, they missed us 2 other paragraphs where that same language should have been included, which they will change. So the motion would be to approve the contract with owner's project manager Left Field in the form submitted to Mr. Havel and Mr. Burdick, subject to that caveat about additional insured language.
You made that motion?
I did.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just for informational purposes, the amount of that contract is $52,000, which is almost exactly 3.5% of the ICON feasibility study number, what they call it, not the all-in number, but what they refer to as the construction number. So that is pretty much exactly what they thought they could bring they being Left Field could bring that in for. The next issue relates to architectural firms. And for that, we have some developments and some negotiations, which this group needs to discuss. And I think we need to go into an executive session, but I suggest that we do that as the last item in the meeting.
Sounds good to me. Do we have Janelle Martinez here? Is she still in our employ?
She is still in our employ if we need her. I just asked her to send in her bill, which she did today. It was $3,700. That's additional to what we paid her previously. I think money well worth spending. As she points out, we may not need her services much.
Right.
Now that we have the OPM, but she still is available and I think still a valuable resource, but the OPM kind of drives the bus.
Right, they'll be in our, just curious.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing is something that I just put on, really just as a reminder, Katuitt School property conservation easement, the question of whether when we do return the site to nature, we should enter into a conservation easement similar to the one that the town of Barnstable entered into with respect to their property, basically keeping the Katuitt School property in a natural state. I just bring that up. I think I'll just continue bringing it up until it's right, but it is something that I want us to be actively considering. We also need to check and make sure that the town's conservation easement has finally been filed with the state.
Has it?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
Is Mark Robinson the person we should have talked about?
Maybe.
that? Or maybe is it Mark Monroe?
Maybe, because it was being reviewed. Was it
Yeah,
not?
and the state was
They were taking their time.
literally months and months and months
Yeah.
behind, like more than a year behind.
It'll take some looking into. Maybe Mark Robinson, because
Alright.
that's his specialty,
How about if I reach out either to Mark Robinson or Mark Monroe?
right? Because we're the holder of the conservation restriction.
Exactly.
Mark, there's a question related to that topic in the chat. Do you want me to wait some public comment to do that?
Yeah, why don't we wait till public comment, to do that, remind me before we go into executive session.
Yep.
Okay, the next topic is the CFD website status.
I have a bit of a show and tell today. If
Yeah.
if you would oblige, take over a little bit, this microphone, but. Well, a little bit closer. Yeah, so ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future coming up quickly. First is, oh shoot. Is it this one? I just want to first remind everyone, if it's not obvious, what the current website is, and I will do my best to be as brief and yet comprehensive as possible. So this website is a WordPress website. It is split into three different groups. You can't really see here, but fire district, fire commissioners, water commissioners, and Prudential committee meetings. Everything is based on pages, and I believe this website was implemented in 2016, 2017, somewhere around then. Since then, a lot of the maintenance has gone, I guess, has not been performed. So very core features such as the PHP version and plugins and all sorts of things have continued to break and not be fixed. The biggest change that I want to highlight right now as it relates to the fire district is how we are using WordPress. The new website is still WordPress, but this is a web page. This web page just gets, you know, a new table line row gets added, and then it just keeps pushing everything down and down and down and down. So it is what I would say a non-sustainable website functionality. That is where we are now. Where we are what I've been working on is still in WordPress. Asterisk here. I've been working on a local website that I then pushed this morning to our hosting through Barnstable IT, which is WP Engine. Some of the links and stuff have broken, but I can fix them. This is a development website that can then, if we make changes to that, we can push it to a staging website, then we can push it to the production website, which would be visible to the public on our URL. So the biggest changes overall beyond kind of the general look and feel is how things are updated. I'll just kind of go through this a little bit first. Kind of a little bit less on the history of the fire district and more so focused around the updates, the news, the various departments or committees or commissioners, what we'd like to call them. So, just some fairly basic information on the homepage, latest news. These are all in the card style. And they just automatically get moved, and we can decide which content goes there. Just some basic, history or stats on the fire district, and then some meetings down here. So, and little footer. So fairly simple overall. The main kind of bulk of the website are the departments. We have the fire department, the water departments, and the Prudential committee. Still don't like the change in terminology between commissioners, but we'll go past that. Each department has its own web page. This is all part of the same website. It is easy to update these pages, and I will just, for example, go see the fire department one. Whoops. Let me go back. This link, that is one of the links that was broken. So replicating a lot of the functionality in terms, so I guess let me back up a little bit. I did meet with Adam Zace and Jen Nash from Fire and Water, respectively, to kind of better understand how they would want to use the website and their needs. Identified, still haven't made all of the changes necessarily, but identified kind of the main things that people would come to the website for the fire departments. This would be the news and announcements that are specific to the fire departments. There haven't been that many of them, I think, because of the way the current website is laid out. So hopefully there'll be more populated. And then a summary of the fire commissioners' meetings that are upcoming in chronological order. A little bit about the team, they're the commissioners, and then water will follow a very similar format, although they do have the option of highlighting a important post, such as the level 2 drought conditions. And you know, same basic template, but with water. Up here you can see pay your bill. That seems to be, like, at least to me, the main action item that a lot of people would want when visiting the website. So rates, news and announcements, meetings. These are the pictures for the team, and then the water commissioners here. Prudential, very similar format. Rent Freedom Hall, treasurer's reports available here. Streetlight maintenance, we can get to that during my question. District bylaws and meetings team. It's actually fairly simple at the moment, just because I do not know what else you do on there, but we can always add more. Freedom Hall. Brian, I will work with you on this, but we do need to figure out kind of the rental and requests protocol, if that is an online form, if we still want to ask people to print out a PDF and mail it in or drop it off. And then also, this is my calendar, but it is a shared calendar in Outlook, which is included in the Microsoft 365 subscriptions that everyone in the fire district has. So the thought was we could have a shared Outlook calendar rather than relying on a separate plugin or Google, and I'm not even sure how the other one was handled, but just some fairly basic. I'd say the real meat of this, though, is the meetings. So meetings will now assuming everyone's okay with it, handled through posts and not updating web pages, which means on the dashboard, when you sign into the website, there will be a place to put what type of meeting is it, what committee or commissioners is it, where is it, what's the time, Zoom link, agenda, upload the agenda, and then you just press publish, and it will automatically populate to the correct places. These are all clickable to the PDF. This leads to the recording. And kind of the status on these is, it has been a bit of a labor of love, and I appreciate everyone's patience on it, but I've been going through the archive of all the previous meetings, and I've found that a lot of the PDFs were misnamed. A lot of the audio was kind of all over the place. So started with water and did just about all of the water up until sometime this summer, but those meetings should be accurate and available on the website, searchable by date, searchable by committee, and all of the information on there. So that is for the administration of it, should be a lot more straightforward. You go in there, you put in the information, click publish, it will then go to where it needs to go on the website, and that is it. And then if you need to edit the event, add minutes or whatnot, it is a very simple situation. Similar kind of idea with documents. These are the documents functionality in the current website hasn't been updated in a very, very long time. I'm not even sure if anyone was really using it, but my thought here is when we do have a document for, the treasurer's, or I guess I did have a finance department here, treasurer's reports can go here, anything related to the fire department, water department, lead service inventory, and these can then just be This is just almost like a document archive. Adding a search functionality would not be very difficult, so we'll say the basics of a search functionality. Everything else is still a little bit of a work in progress, but I did want to provide an update and kind of get everyone as I guess the future part of what I'm asking is kind of where do we go from here? From my perspective, a lot of the hard part's been done in terms of making sure that it works with the WP engine hosting, the, pushing the site and managing the site is working as intended. The archive, as I mentioned, is taking a bit longer than I would have hoped, but figure if we're thorough, and it's a good time to do it. And then, just tying up a few loose ends in terms of pages and links and all that other stuff, but that is, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but that is the current status of the fire district website.
Thank you, John. That really, already head and shoulders above where we are, or where we currently are with the old website. Yeah, very happy with that, and I know you're spending a lot of time on it, so.
Thank you, Mark. The two things I did want to point out is one, I do believe, to Seth's earlier points, I do believe once this is established, we should attract or find Barnstable IT had a shop or an agency that they use for various projects, but just kind of maintain it, update the stuff, update the plugins. If anyone has changes, we can just send it to them, and it should be fairly easy to do. I don't think it'll be particularly expensive, but I do think that would be worthwhile. And again, the biggest change here is really on the back end of everything. And so I think from Ryan's perspective and Jen's and Adam's, I think it'll be a much easier, better experience for everyone. And at this point, if there are changes that we want to make, it would be very easy to implement, which is
Good to think I wanted to pay someone.
Yeah.
To do that.
Okay, so what should we put this on? For what, December, January, when's the next time we should? I'm really happy.
Yeah, I would expect, I'll continue to work on it, and I think it could be at a place where it's like good enough to publish. I just want to make sure the archive is at least good for the past few years. I think 2012 is less important necessarily from our current stuff. So I will start from today and work backwards. And once that's at a good place, then January, I would say, would be a good time for this. Because then the next step from my perspective would be to push the website from development to staging. Once it's at staging, send the link out to everyone, find any bugs to make any changes. And then once, assuming that's good, it's just a matter of clicking a button and then it will be live.
That is a terrific report. Thank you.
Well done. What do the other fire districts' websites look like? I bet Com has a good one. Have you ever been on any of them? I've not.
I have looked at them.
Yeah.
They all work. But I mean, you've been to the Barnstable website.
Barnstable Town website?
Yeah.
Dreadful disaster.
They're all very municipal.
Yeah.
They're all
So
municipal.
to me, it is. I don't know about you, maybe you like it, but yeah, municipal insofar as they don't have the same sort of streamlining that a commercial website has, right?
Well, I would say, I mean, I did try to go fairly municipal on it, but our purposes are very simple compared to Barnstable.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, we could add as much as we want, but for now, let's just keep it to the basic functionality and then we can expand.
I think that's to the point. I think it encompasses the main, it's a repository of information for people essentially.
Yeah.
And, as long as you can access it, that's what counts.
And the most important thing for me right now is that we have access to it, in that if we want to add a contact form for, people to submit something, we can make changes really easily now, whereas beforehand it was like, we don't know who's hosting it. I don't know anything. So like all of that's now under one roof. And if, I think that'll be the best thing for us moving forward.
Lovely, cool. Lovely. Thank you again. Okay, the next agenda item is sick day carryover status. I put this in simply because my recollection was that we had not kind of brought this to a close in the sense of the documents that we were looking at that allowed the carryover of sick days from year to year. In particular, I'm talking about the water department employee manual was supposed to have been approved by the Prudential committee, and we were not sure if that had ever occurred. And so, you know, one way or another, we need to find out if in fact it was approved. If it wasn't approved, how do we go about, you know, undertaking that?
So the emergent part of the situation was our budgetary concerns, obviously, right?
Yeah,
And those were allayed more or less by the fact that they have the free cash essentially, or room in their budget to absorb the cost because the number came down. We had an initial frightening number, which was outside of what was in their budget. They would have required special action and would have been, we couldn't have paid except if we went through some legislative process.
exactly.
So then we got to the point where we realized they could pay it, right? If I'm remembering this correctly, they had the amount because the amount was much smaller.
The amount was much smaller. Did we undertake the analysis and conclude that they
We just,
could pay it, or?
well, I think that because of the nature of previous decisions, we would have to honor it up to a certain point, right? But you're saying we should be reviewing the handbook as it stands, and if this is a practice that will continue. More or
Yeah,
less.
yes,
Because we would have to, anything that they, whether it's implicitly guaranteed, right? Because they've been accruing it up to this point.
correct,
Would it be? I don't know, your side.
yeah.
Ray's muted it. You might hear him.
Ray, you're muted.
End in space.
Sorry, they have not been accruing it because they have no mechanism to accrue it. The only thing that they can do would be to designate, for example, the Water Department Stabilization Fund as the
Right, to
fund.
cover that. To cover what their existing obligation is?
Say it again, Seth.
Well, so do you disagree that there's an existing obligation?
No, I do not practice Trump's policy all the time. And so what I'm commenting on is there is no funding available. And if the one individual who has the most money would decide to retire, which I believe he's eligible for tomorrow, there would not be money in the budget for that.
So they would not be able to use stabilization funds for that purpose?
Would have to go to the district to do that.
So they still have no mechanism for which to pay that if it should occur, nothing?
Correct. They do not have a mechanism. They would need to have the voters approve that stabilization fund as specifically for sick pay, accrued sick pay, to be paid upon retirement.
Or they would have to wait until the following district meeting and request that as an appropriation specifically.
Which, as we have discussed, is at that point, the money is owed, and if the villagers were to vote it down, that would be a problem.
So we didn't get anywhere with this then? Is that
Well,
why did we just let?
Well, that's why I put it back in the agenda. We did get somewhere in that way.
I do remember, so it only happens on retirement, correct?
Retirement or
Retirement or,
separation debt.
yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say the retirement one, I believe, didn't they talking about years notice, at which point it would be guaranteed to be on
Right.
the annual meeting?
They made representations that they would in the future be covering this. But for the remainder of this fiscal year, it remains out there.
Well, wait, how will they cover it?
They'll put something in their budget and then bring it before the district meeting in May, right? There's David Sherbuck. He's got an answer, maybe.
Uh,
Oh, do you want to not go there, Lauren?
let's recognize David, I think, if he has his hand up.
Mr. Chairman, I have a brief update on this agenda item.
Okay.
Last month, the Water Commissioners drafted a memo that confirms our understanding of the unfunded sick leave benefit issue. That includes the history of the policy, public disclosure of it in past annual reports, as well as past payout practices, and includes a series of 5 questions that we've posed to our employment attorney, Michael Pierce, who we engaged in 2023 to review the current version of the Water Department Employee Handbook. The questions we posed were, how do other municipalities account for and fund such benefits? Should an eligible employee retire or pass away, how soon must those accrued benefits be paid to him or her or their estate? 3, could the language of the employee handbook be amended to state that an employee planning on retiring must inform the Board of Water Commissioners of their intention to do so in the next fiscal year, beginning July 1st, so that the amount owed to the employee can be reflected in the next year's budget or be presented to the voters of the district at the next district meeting. 4th, if the board were to vote to rescind the accrued sick leave benefit, what is the appropriate language for a motion to do so? And would the benefit cease as of the date of the motion to rescind the benefit was passed, or would the benefit cease at the end of the current calendar or fiscal year? And finally, if the board were to continue the benefit, what would be the best mechanism to fund the liability? And we realize that question is best posed to Treasurer Perone and the auditors. We were unable to get an answer from Attorney Pierce for most of October because of court obligations on his part, but 2 weeks ago he came back with a detailed opinion on what our obligations are and how we might go forward with this in the future. We are going to review the final draft of the memo and Attorney Pierce's opinions at our meeting this Wednesday, at which I hope we'll approve the memo and get a copy to you along with Attorney Pierce's recommendations as soon as possible. I would propose a joint meeting of the Water Commissioners and the Prudential Committee at the next convenient opportunity to discuss the situation and find a solution. I'll give you a preview that the good news is that in the opinion of Attorney Pierce, the legal risk to the district is minimal at this point in time, and that with some immediate changes to the employee policy, we can clarify the open question of how soon after retirement we will need to pay the accrued benefits. In his opinion, we would not have to do so until the next fiscal year, and past practice when an employee of the Water Department has retired was to include the benefits owed to that employee in the next year's Water Department salary budget to be voted on at the annual district meeting. So that's basically the preview. Our look at the archives shows that this policy has been in place for over 30 years. It has been reviewed by past Prudential committees. It was disclosed in an annual report as recently as 2012. And unfortunately, no specific reserve fund was ever established by a past board to accumulate the accrued funds.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Good work.
Thank you, Lord. Glad that you guys have been working on this.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean by approving the memo? What does that mean?
Well, I drafted it, but I want it to be signed by all of us before we submit it to you, so that it comes from the board and not just from me.
Okay. And we would appreciate it if you would share the letter from the attorney as well. That would be.
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll
Okay.
come as a packet.
Good. Well, thank you. I assume, well, I would be open to a joint meeting with
Absolutely.
with the water department. Of course, let's digest when you guys get your memo approved, and if you send that to us and with the attorney's letter, then that'll go a long way towards giving us comfort on the issue, hopefully, and figuring out when we can schedule such a meeting.
Perfect. I'll try to get that to you before the end of this week.
Terrific. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Great.
Um, So the next topic is public comment, after which we will go into
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. Do you want to do matters not reasonably anticipated for John's question?
matters not reasonably anticipated.
How
Yes,
about the school property conservation easement?
we went into that. It was brief. But we did. Yes, thank you.
I had a-
Stand up for yourself, Josh.
No, stuff jumped in there, thank you. I had a question around streetlights. I know that is one of the purviews of this Prudential committee, and I'm, guess both from my knowledge and I guess everyone else's knowledge, I've been told about 2 streetlights that are out. What do I do about that?
Tell Mark. It's always been Fran who's done the street.
Yeah, you for this. Yeah, I'm afraid that's right. And I'm gonna now turn to Ryan, but can you can email me any,
I will email you the address. Do you do you know the person who maintains?
we
that?
have a company.
Okay. Great.
Actually just came up recently, so.
Who is it now?
I
It's
had a contact, so I know who to
not
talk to.
Siemens anymore. Which, is it Siemens still? That's who we went through for a long time.
Arden, I believe.
It's not,
Are they- It's not Siemens anymore, right? Ardens, whatever. But
Not
it always
Siemens.
used to be in my years here that you would tell Fran, we'd talk about it at a meeting and then she would deal with it. And so that's gonna be Ryan's job now.
Well, it
That sounds
can be
great.
my job, but I'm gonna immediately.
Because then you can delegate it.
You're right.
No, right.
Wait, just so you know the background, we have had for years of a contract with a group. There is a group of communities on the Cape that all use the same vendor
Mhm.
for their streetlights, and there is a process in the contract for notifying them of exactly this kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I will ask Brian to dig out the contract, figure out who we need to talk to, and if you can just send him
I will let you know the intersections.
perfect.
Thank you.
Well, how about, I have a matter not reasonably anticipated by
Okay.
this brings to mind just because of this particular issue. What, should we do a comprehensive review of streetlights at some point? We haven't done that.
How, in terms of
Where they are, how well we're doing with them. Do we need more? How many are really broken? How many do we not know about? Are they the right model? Are they up to date? Do we need to just, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Just for the sake of it.
I think we have a list of locations.
Right, I'm sure we do, but you know, I don't know, do you drive around and look at them? I don't often. I know Fran might have.
question that I'm gonna ask Ryan to look at. I have a recollection that that contract also provides that they will do some kind of periodic inspection.
It does.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I believe
they
it
but,
does.
you know, do we have enough streetlights? I'm sure you find people, I heard people say, we do not have enough streetlights. Should they be in other places? Should they be here or there?
Shining right in the middle. At least one too many.
It's just food for thought. It's not, I'm not saying that there's something we need to jump on, but I've been here for 6 years, doing this for 6 years. And not had any real.
Yeah, it's kind of been an autopilot.
The ones that I heard from one gentleman, I double checked, like, are you sure you want the streetlights here? And he kind of recommended and said, why, when he walks and all that stuff. So, you know, it makes sense, but I haven't heard anything else beyond that, so.
And we only do streetlights on public roadways at this point.
Yes, and where they're actually, we have criteria, I think in the bylaws,
Right, about where.
about where they go, basically intersections and, but check that out, because if, I don't know how long these have been out, and I don't know how frequently they're supposed to be inspecting, but we shouldn't be having to call them down, those streetlights down.
It's just
The
a,
contact
you know,
I have.
interesting conversation, because there's whole neighborhoods without any because they're private roads. 50% of the roads in town are private,
Is that right?
just about. So. Just something for the future,
Yeah.
if you're bored. Looking for something to put on the agenda.
Um, So we're gonna ask for public comment in a minute, and after that, we're gonna go into executive session relating to the potential hiring of an architecture firm, which I bring up because that discussion, which will be in executive session, will help us with timing, in terms of when that can happen. And just so everyone on the call knows, the architect will put together the technical bid specifications for the demolition. You know, how does the water get turned off? Where does the electricity get turned off? Where does the, the curb cuts go, et cetera, down to how is the material disposed of, et cetera. And through a, subcontractor, who will not only perform the return to nature, but will plan the return to nature. So we'll have a little better idea timing wise, hopefully after that conversation, and probably a few days after that. And I shouldn't say anything more because we should really go into executive session, but we'll have a little more information soon. So with that, we are going to, I guess we don't adjourn the meeting, right, Charlie? We just.
Public comment.
Oh, sorry, public comment. Yes, sorry.
Excuse me. Yeah,
For a while.
Go ahead, Patty.
thank you. Sorry. I thought you were going to adjourn.
I was going to. Thank you for stopping me.
So, Patty Daly. First of all, if y'all would like face the speaker when you speak, especially the chair. I know your natural inclination is to turn to your co-board members, but it makes it really hard to hear. And Ray Perone may be able to back me up on that because he is also remote tonight. But my one question is, does the decision to put a conservation restriction on fire district property require a vote of the district, or can the 3 members of the Prudential Committee do that? And could they do it by a majority vote of 2 members?
I do not know the answer to those questions, Patty. But we will find out, and get back to you. By which I mean, the next time we bring this up again, we hopefully will have an answer to that. I don't know the answer.
Seems likely that it would have to be at the district meeting, doesn't it? Because it's a disposition.
It might be a
Property, right?
disposition of the property. Well,
Because we could sign it, but it would be a disposition of the property. Right? Isn't it, what does that say? I don't know.
I
Ask
don't
Mark
know.
Boudreau, but
I don't, it's a good question, an obvious one, and, if we were to do this, we would want to do it right. So one of the first things we need to find out is figure out what a disposition means, because that I think would require not only a vote of the villagers, but a 2/3 vote of the villagers.
it might.
Yeah.
One would think, but I'm not sure given the center of the conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Bye. Harold, so you asked me to wait to the end of the meeting to hear what the update was on the school. I'm still confused as to why you would have an architect do some work beyond, in addition to what you already have here from the icon concept designs, without getting some community input. It's like,
The short answer is timing, which is one of the things we're going to be discussing. I really think that we owe it to the voters of the village who overwhelmingly said demolish and return to nature, to have it done on a timely basis. So one of my main concerns is that we keep this process moving along. I guess I also view the return to nature as being unambiguous. You know, relatively speaking. But my main concern is timing. That, and I just think that you probably got a better shot of a constructive conversation when you've got something to aim at.
So you're not planning to follow any of this concept design narrative that came up with the $270,000 budget line item? Because in here,
470,000.
sorry, 407,000, yeah. So that was just to get a number for the annual district meeting, but you're not following any of this
I'm
recommendations?
not sure what you mean by this.
These are they're the documents that were used at the annual district meeting to talk about how they came to the $470,000.
Okay.
It's, paved paths and pre-planting, shrub planting, meadow seed mix, planting soil, organic mulch.
No, to the contrary, I think that goes a very long way towards, what we would like to do. Will it be exactly that? I don't know.
So that's the problem, the fire district residents have not been asked, besides this broad picture of return to nature. And I'm asking for an opportunity, and maybe we'll just go ahead and do it, to find out in a, facilitated meeting like we did with Memorial Park, what does return to nature mean to you, and the other people in this community, to facilitate giving that information to the architect, not to slow the process down, not to stop any part of the process, but to allow, people like we did with Memorial Park. You want, not to bring up the playground, but we'll bring up the playground, moving the memorials, get that feedback soon, like real soon, so that it can go to this person that you're hiring. That's all I'm saying. I think timing and process is, let's not wait for just some architect who doesn't know our community. Let's try and get the Wampanoags involved and what they would recommend, and do it as a very open and community process.
May I?
Please.
So one of the things that I think about when it comes to this is that because of what may go on down there in terms of recreation on the town end of it, that and I said this earlier, but I know that I don't know if you guys were a fan of it, because we want to get it done. The less we do now down on our end of it, it's almost better until we find out what the overall recreation picture is for the village. Not, you know what I mean? I know that we're not going to play necessarily a role in the recreation picture on our piece of land there, but it is abutting it. And it is, you know what I mean? It's kind of all one piece. We've cut it into two pieces, obviously, under two municipal jurisdictions, but like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that once we do return it to nature in fashion, that it is now gone and now been filled with dirt and now has grass and shrubs growing on it, just whatever is occurring, then we go, and that's when we have that's when we talk about what it should be before, you know what I mean? If we're gonna spend the money to have something done now, as the process, as a part of the demolition, if we are returning it to nature, it's not gonna be, we know it's not gonna be that $400,000 walking path. I think that we kind of all decided that, didn't we?
I would, ostensibly consistent with return to nature.
And so, but if we knock it down and we have them seed it with grass or whatever and then stop, and then as a larger part of the recreation, what is the larger picture of recreation in the village as it pertains to Memorial Park and to that 13-acre piece of land down there? Well, now two separate pieces.
If we
You see what I'm saying?
input into
Yeah, because
really what the town is gonna be doing.
we're definitely gonna be doing that, I think. I mean, that's.
Well, the town reached out to all the 7 villages, and did these outreach meetings, and has a draft plan already posted as to what recommended, the
Yeah, for the
recommendations are for open space and
recreation.
and recreation use. By each village and what projects are high, what are low, et cetera. So they did this kind of outreach. And I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think we'll just probably hold a community meeting and see what people want, and if you like the information, great, if not, so be it, but I think return to nature, what people voted on was what was presented in this icon thing, which has pathways and lots of stuff, and so I'm hearing tonight, that's not what some of you feel it means return to nature. So I'm just asking for clarification and getting that out to the community. What is return to nature?
right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to think of it in terms of the larger recreational picture. And so maybe we do less now and then spend more time designing later because we know we're going to be on the light side of recreation, if it's any recreation other than passive recreation.
But I also know
It's gonna
that
be
we
right.
have to
Yeah,
appropriate that $470,000. So I don't know when that's happening, but is that just gonna,
That's happening.
yeah, it's happened,
It's
so
there.
that's up against our taxes and it's sitting there, and if we're not gonna spend it, then it's gonna go into free cash or all these other places, which was what my point at.
Right, we can
at the
always,
District meeting, like, why are we appropriating so much if we're not gonna use it?
Hopefully that's what we're dealing
Right.
with as opposed to the.
I understand.
because there could be overages and whatever that may consume part of it, but we can always close that article and move it into a new article that will be for the purpose of whatever the thing is that gets decided.
Right, so anyways, I just think that, we'll, as civic association, maybe we'll just move ahead and trying to facilitate something and give you information.
A community
versus-
meeting or a
yeah,
survey or
exactly.
whatever.
That's what I said at the beginning, both
Yeah.
those things, because we're getting good responses on our first survey. Our second one's about to come out, and, so that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah,
Alright.
and it's broad enough, and I'll run the survey by you and see if you have any things you wanna tweak or whatever, but, let's just get the conversation going, I guess. Not slowing the process down, just getting the conversation going. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Do you have a hand raised on the line? Yes. Chris?
Hi, it's Chris Rebello. I just have to say that the previous speaker made a very valid point about getting the information and the feedback now rather than later. It's precisely why there was a problem with the Memorial Park, because the architects presented a plan without any input from the community, and I don't want to see you guys have to deal with that same kind of frustration from the community. Does that make sense?
That's, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Lally Lloyd, two quick things. I have been informed, though I have not seen with my own eyes, that the school property is currently now being used as a dump site. Somebody mentioned a couch and other large items of trash, and I wasn't aware of that, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention, hoping that there is some potential for getting it removed. The second issue is, no matter what the final property ends up looking like, there will be some kind of maintenance, most likely, that is required, and I'm assuming that that will be put into a budget at some point and will be accounted for in a budget, right?
I thought about that. My hope is return to nature. Obviously, there will be a budget when it gets started. In
Yeah.
fact, the icon feasibility study option number one actually includes sprinklers for some period of time. After that, I am hoping that it is.
It depends. It's heavily dependent upon what goes on, or
Exactly.
what is put in. Because like, for instance, we pay for the maintenance of this building. It could fall in line with something like, if there is a need for
If there's a
continuing
need.
maintenance, whatever it may be.
Right.
Like, but I mean, it remains to be seen. And that's the question, I think, that's what Carol's saying, it's what you're saying, that what is it gonna be? Is it gonna be, and that's one of the things that I have trouble with, is that if we undertake if the town and the village and then, chooses to direct the town to undertake some kind of larger recreative purpose down there, then we're gonna have a field, like a meadow, of grass and whatever, just to nature, right up against something that is gonna be a big recreation area. And then what are the delineations? How does it all fit in? What do we do with that? It's just, I think it's an interesting question. I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah.
But the sequencing of what you were proposing to Carol a moment ago of getting the building down and getting the site stabilized.
Right.
But not doing any major landscaping,
Right.
postponing that until
Yeah,
that,
until we
that
have
just feels to me to make a lot. A lot of sense.
To me, that is an absolute non-starter. We had 250 people unequivocally say demolish and return to nature, and they did not say, not a one. But delay is fine, or what the heck does return to nature mean? I don't understand that.
But we all know the meeting was long and it was exhausting, and the whole topic has exhausted all of us, you included.
Yeah.
And the decision primarily, my perception of it at that moment was the agreement to demolish the school. And people were not focusing on,
That is
on,
not what it said.
well, I want to be clear. We absolutely voted to return to nature, 100%. But nobody particularly knows what we mean by that. And I think that's Carol's.
I think that is an ambiguity that a couple people find, a few people find. But as I said, no one raised their hand at that meeting to say, what does that mean, return to nature?
I did.
You did, you objected to the $470,000 being spent at all. But not what the hell does this mean? Anyway, we're probably closer than we
Yeah.
sound like we are.
I think so. I think so too. A final topic, the bylaws committee is waiting for you to convene
Yes.
it. As you know, they can't meet until you convene the first meeting. After that, they can appoint someone else as the chair and you won't have to be doing it anymore, but they can't meet until you convene. Yeah.
I hear you loud and clear. Larry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to move that the Prudential Committee go into executive session to discuss negotiations relating to hiring of an architectural firm relating to the demolition and site remediation of the Catholic school.
Second, or you moved, I moved. You second, or did you move?
I
second. Second.
Mark Lynn and I.
John Havel, aye.
Seth Burdick, aye.